The rain was coming down in sheets, plastering my thin T-shirt to my back. My older brother, Mark, stood in the doorway, his face a mask of cold indifference. He pointed a finger at the street. "Get out," he said, his voice flat. "This is my house now. Mom and Dad left it to me. You're not welcome here anymore." I was just 18, and my world was collapsing. Our parents had passed away in a car crash just a month earlier, and their will was the last thing on my mind. But apparently it was the only thing on Mark's. He held up a document, waving it in my face. "It's all here in black and white. You get nothing. Now leave before I call the cops." My bag, hastily packed with a few clothes and my dad's old watch, was already on the wet pavement. The door slammed shut, and the click of the lock was the loudest sound I had ever heard. I spent that night at a bus station, shivering and replaying his words. How could he? We were brothers. We grew up in that house, shared a room, played in that yard. Had it all been a lie? The next few years were a blur of odd jobs and cheap motels. I worked as a dishwasher, a delivery driver, a construction worker, anything to keep from sleeping on the streets. Every dollar I saved was a tiny piece of defiance. While Mark was living it up in our childhood home, probably selling off our parents' memories piece by piece, I was building something from nothing. I learned about stocks from a book I found at a Goodwill. I started with $20, then $50, then $100. It was slow, painstaking work. I ate ramen noodles so I could afford to buy a single share of a promising tech company. I taught myself how to code at the public library, using their free computers until they kicked me out at closing time. Years went by. 5, then 10. The bitterness I felt towards Mark never fully faded, but it transformed. It became fuel. It pushed me to work harder, learn faster, and be smarter. My small investments grew. I developed an app with a few friends I made along the way, a simple budgeting tool that took off unexpectedly. Suddenly, the numbers in my bank account had a lot more zeros. I wasn't just surviving anymore, I was thriving. I founded my own tech company. We grew, and we grew fast. I never forgot that rainy night, the cold seeping into my bones, the betrayal stinging my eyes. But I rarely thought about Mark. My life was full. I had a team that respected me, a purpose that drove me. One day, my assistant buzzed me. "Sir, there's a Mark on the line. He says he's your brother." My heart hammered against my ribs. I hadn't heard that name in 15 years. I took a deep breath and told her to put him through. His voice was different. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a desperate, wheedling tone. "Hey, little brother," he started, his voice cracking. "Long time no see. Listen, I'm in a bit of trouble." He explained that he'd made some bad business deals, lost the house, and was facing bankruptcy. The house our parents left him. The house he'd kicked me out of. He was calling to ask for a loan. A big one. "I know you're doing well," he said. "I've seen you in the news. You're my only hope." I let the silence hang in the air for a long moment. I could almost hear his shallow breathing on the other end of the line. I thought about the revenge I had fantasized about for years. I could tell him no. I could tell him to get out, just like he did to me. I could hang up and leave him to face the consequences of his own greed. The power was intoxicating. I looked around my large corner office. The city skyline sprawling beneath me, this was the moment I had unknowingly been working towards. The ultimate "I told you so." But as I looked at the framed photo on my desk, not of my parents, but of the team that helped me build my company, my new family, I realized something. Ruining him wouldn't fix what he did. It wouldn't bring back our parents or erase the years of hardship. It would just make me like him. Mark, I said, my voice steady. I remember a rainy night a long time ago. I remember being alone and having nothing. You taught me a valuable lesson that day. You can't rely on anyone but yourself. He started to stammer an apology, but I cut him off. I'm not going to give you any money, I said. He fell silent. I could feel his world collapsing, just as mine had. But I continued, I know a place. It's a shelter. They give you a bed and a warm meal. It's more than you gave me. I gave him the address. It was the same shelter I had almost ended up in 15 years ago. Go there, I said. Work hard. Maybe you'll learn something. Goodbye, Mark. I hung up the phone. There was no triumphant cheer, no fist pump. Just a quiet sense of release. Justice wasn't about revenge, it was about breaking the cycle. He was finally getting what was coming to him, a chance to start from nothing, just like I did. And whether he'd sink or swim was entirely up to him. As for me, I was finally free.